Quiet.
One of the things with me, because I'm, ADHD, I'm autistic, when I hit middle school, a whole bunch of teachers were just like, oh, she's very talkative, she's very distracted, stuff like that. But they just amounted that to me being a girl.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't amount it to, oh, hey, there could be something else going on.
It's also because, I feel like we've talked about this before about how the studies done about ADHD and autism were mostly done on young boys, and so that's the stereotypical thing they look for.
That's why Autism Speaks, for those that don't know, on my YouTube channel, I have an entire thing on them. Terrible. But the reason that the puzzle piece that they used was blue for so long is because they wrongly stated that autism mostly occurs in boys, when what it really was is that these studies were done on boys, and women are taught from a very young age to mask their differences.
Mm-hmm.
They're told to act like how society wants you to, and boys are just boys.
Yeah. So I, from a very, very young age, had suicidal thoughts. From a 6 years old, I was suicidal. And there was really no majorly bad thing happening. I wasn't being abused. My brain is just that way. And I thought it was normal, so I never told anyone.
It's really weird to think back about, because I've talked to a lot of people that also had those feelings since a young age.
Mm-hmm.
When you're that young and you don't quite understand, this isn't normal. It's one of those things.
When you don't know that something is different when you're a child, it's hard to reach out for help because you don't know you need help. It actually is very important for people to talk about mental health publicly. There's this narrative with certain people online that mental health is something that should stay behind closed doors. You talk to your therapist, you talk to your parents, whatever you need to do, and you don't speak about it online because it's no one's business and no one needs to hear about it. That's okay. You don't have to. But the thing is that for people like me, I have a disorder that less than 2% of the population has. So if I didn't speak about this online, then I wouldn't know there were other people like me out there. I wouldn't know that I'm not the only one. And I think that's the great thing about speaking about your mental health online. And I know it's a scary thing to speak about your mental health online. And the thing about vulnerability is strength. So I think when you are vulnerable, you are truly showing how much strength you have.
With my situation, I've always had an anxiety disorder, but that anxiety disorder got increased after Small Human's dad went unalive. Knowing that he put me through abuse, but not him. Knowing what my particular situation is, being able to talk about it openly can help someone else know that they're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
That other people are in that situation and that it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You can ask for help, you can get that help. And if you don't know how to ask for help, then at least there's someone you can resonate with.
And I think if people talking about their mental health makes you uncomfortable or angry or stresses you out, I think maybe you should do a little bit of introspection and figure out why something that a lot of the times affects people 24/7 and them talking about it hurts you. Why does that hurt you? therapy's great. I've been in therapy for 13 years. But the thing that has really helped me is my time alone with myself and looking inward and figuring myself out. Talking about it with other people or therapists or whatever is great. But I think when you're having such like a adverse reaction to how someone is portraying themselves online and they're not really hurting anyone, then it is time for you to look inward.
Being able to self-reflect, being able to figure out who you are, and then also having a therapist on top of it, you can talk about those things that you figured out with your therapist and figure out the direction that you're going in. Sorry. This train is the most annoying train I have ever had in my life. There's a song on this train that he will play 30 times within like an hour. And I'm like, can we don't? Not today.
I think some people dislike having their weaknesses brought out into the open and having to accept that their personal issues are real and not just made up in their head, rationalizing, reflecting, and accepting your choices and regrets. Yeah, I think when other people are vulnerable, that makes other people realize how not vulnerable they are and how much they hold inside. And I think it's almost like a bit of jealousy of like, wow, like you're able to talk about that online and not give a shit what people say about it. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, not gonna stop.
I'm sorry that I am okay with who I am and what I'm dealing with and can try and help other people by letting them know they're not alone. My bad.
Something I've learned in my 20s that has probably been one of the best things I've learned in my 20s is the power of authenticity and being yourself. Because I spent my entire life trying to be someone other people liked. And especially this past year, I've learned that that's not someone I have to be. I can just be myself. And if you don't like that person, that's okay. It doesn't make me a bad person, and it doesn't necessarily make you a bad person either. So, yeah.
No, it doesn't. It's one of those things. Like, either you like it or you don't, and that's fine. It's okay.
Oh my gosh, I used to tell myself that all the time when I was a kid. I used to get so upset, and then
what was wrong?
Yeah, just wonder like why am I so upset? Like, obviously I'm upset because of like whatever situation is happening in the current moment, but like, why is that making me so upset? Why am I so weird?
Yeah, a lot of times like I'd get really, really overwhelmed over certain things. Like I could be in the middle of doing something, and then someone would suddenly ask me, hey, can you do this? And I would just feel so overwhelmed with, I guess, the extra task that my brain didn't know how to handle it. And I'd have a moment. I'd cry. I'd be like, oh God. And that's not normal.
No. But as a kid, you think it's normal because like no one's telling you, like no one sits you down one day and it's like, are you having suicidal thoughts? Like that'd just be like a weird thing.
Yeah. Or, hey, are these really minute tasks making you feel overwhelmed for no reason? No one asks you that.
No. And why would they?
Yeah. It is one of those things, though. When someone starts asking you the right questions, and you can recognize that they're the right questions, it's overwhelming. Especially when you're not used to that.
Yeah. That's like when people start asking me about my dissociation disorder, I get so excited. I literally just could go on and on and on and on and on because no one asks. No, like I tell people this all the time that like I feel like sometimes I should come with like a guidebook on how my brain is working because I could talk about the inner workings of my brain for so long, but I also don't think or don't want the world to have to like walk on eggshells around me or have to always compromise their needs for mine.
Yeah. And then like, as a lot of people know, I've been talking to this person for well over a year, and like it's so weird to me because he ask questions that I'm not used to people asking me. Like, oh, hey, did you eat today? Are you doing okay? How are you? And I'm just like, oh.
That question, how are you, is so hard. Because I'm like,
it really is. And then like he gets really upset like if I haven't eaten all day. Because he's just like, okay, you need to eat. Then once you've eaten, you can come back to me and tell you how you are. And I'm like, oh, okay, fair.
I think that is one of the hardest parts about healing from trauma is when you have empathy or even sympathy for the person who traumatized you.
Yes.
Because it's so out of your control.
That's honestly one of the biggest issues that I have in terms of Small Human's dad, because he never did anything to Small Human. It was all on me. Knowing that Small Human's never going to get that closure, knowing that he's never going to get to say goodbye because that opportunity was taken away from him. Because I found out the day after the funeral. Like, knowing that he doesn't get those things, all of a sudden this entire part of his family was just ripped away from him. That sucks. And it's a very, very mixed bag. Like, oh yeah, I'm free, but what about him? What about when he's older and he can ask those questions?
Yeah,
he's never going to get the answers that he wants because I can't give them. I can't tell him why grandma and grandpa didn't tell mom about it. I can't tell him why he didn't get to go say goodbye. I can't do that. I can't tell him why his dad did what he did because I don't know. But like I can't give him those answers, and it's going to be really difficult.
Do you think this may be a dumb question, but I'm all about asking dumb questions. But since Small Human is nonverbal, that those will be questions that he has?
I think they will be, because he has been talking more. He has been using his voice more. We're working with like AAC devices. He'll be able to ask those questions. Like, hey, what happened to dad? I don't have the answers right now. So he pretty much lost his livelihood all in one go. How do you explain that?
Yeah. And he may be nonverbal, but that doesn't mean he's oblivious to what's going on. So yeah.
Around the times that his grandparents would normally visit him, like for breaks and stuff, he knows there's supposed to be that visit. And he gets really aggravated that we're not going to the house, that we're not seeing the people that he's used to seeing. We're not doing what his normal schedule is. And it's really obvious in his behavior and the way that he approaches people. And I don't have a solution at this point because it's still new. Like his dad only passed a year ago. And like I've seen some of the comments. I've seen some of the stuff they've said. We're like, oh well, what's Lauren going to do when her parents die? Live her life?
Yeah, like
keep going? Like
those people just like pick at the small things that and make like mountains out of molehills, and it's ridiculous when there are so many bigger things going on, and like the fact that they think that like what they're saying and what they're doing has a bigger effect on my life or your life than like the things actually in our lives is ridiculous.
Yeah, like I have so much stuff going on in the background that I don't talk about on streams because it's not necessary. Because I can compromise the effort that I'm putting in, the work that I'm doing to appease people that don't like me. Like what? No.
Yeah, like what we're working on behind the scenes together. Like that's bigger stuff. It's more important stuff. That's, you know, something that could I obviously can't save a life because a life was lost, but it could really put peace of mind for an entire family.
It could bring closure to a family that money can't. And that is what is important. It's being able to help provide that closure and that justice, because no
Yeah.
justice was given. And now there's the potential to have it. And it's freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And it's exciting. And it's one of those things that I would love to be able to talk about. But at the same time, I know that if I give details, someone could make a phone call somewhere and mess everything up for me. Could mess everything up for what I am trying to work on and do. And all of the effort that I have put in will be for nothing. And it's...
Yeah, I mean...
Their happiness is not worth what I'm trying to do.
No.
I care about the fact that their lives are so dull, so boring, that they have to try and tap into others. And that's sad. That's really sad.
And I think the thing that both of us need to remember is that we are outside of all of that drama that does not matter. We are working on something that is like super important and so much better, and in the grand scheme of things, it could possibly change a lot of lives. So I think that's way more important than whatever people say about us online. Something that has helped my healing a lot is acknowledging the fact that other people's feelings are not my responsibility. What is my responsibility is how I treat people. But if other people are feeling a certain way about something having nothing to do with me, it's not my responsibility. And it's also, I think people can make you feel a certain way, but it is how you choose to react to that feeling that matters. I feel that way about some people in my family, about how like what they think of me and how I live my life. Like, as long as I know I'm doing the best I can, and as long as I know I'm trying and doing what I can, that's all that matters. And so what they think of me in a negative way doesn't matter, because there's nothing I can do to change what I'm already doing, because I'm doing the best I can. I went to acting school, and so I'm well aware of the fact that a lot of actors are probably the most damaged people you'll meet, because it can take a really damaged person to be able to hone in on those kinds of emotions and do it well. And that was actually why I stopped acting, was because, well, when I went through something traumatic in school, and then I had to hone in on these emotions that my body was not ready to deal with. And so every time I was in class and I had to do a scene, or I had to do an audition where I had to like be this person, and while it was so much fun and I loved it, I think it's really hard, because accessing emotions you're not ready to access is difficult. And I think that a lot of the times when you see a bad actor, it's because they won't access those emotions. There's like a block there. Because to be a good actor, you do have to genuinely feel these things. At least that's the way I was trained. That's the way I did it. My breaking point where I decided I didn't want to act anymore was when I was in class, and my teacher, I had just gotten done with a scene, and she looks at me and she goes, "You don't come to class and try as hard as you can." And I flipped out on her. I flipped out on this instructor. I started like because when I get angry, I start to cry. So I was like bawling and like yelling at her. You have no idea how much work I put into this, and how much I love this, and how hard it is for me. And for you to tell me I'm not working hard enough, it pissed me off. And that's when I was like, I don't think I should be doing this. I've found lately that like often have almost like set myself up for failure with the mindset that I'm in. So I'll think I'm a disappointment, and so I just won't try hard. I've found lately that if I set myself up for success, then I feel a lot better. So like if I I'm feeling like really good lately, so I've just been getting a lot of work done and like pre-editing stuff, so I have like content. So that my mom just like screamed.
I know, I heard her. She went,
so I have content for like when I do start to feel down, because I will. That's just the natural process of things. I feel good, then I feel sad. I'll have content so I won't feel like I'm a disappointment to people, and I'll be able to post and I'll be able to do those things. And so setting yourself up for success can be really helpful.
For those of you that don't know who I am, I'm Mango Jones. Hi. I do a whole bunch of really fact and research-based streams on my YouTube channel. And one of the things I've been doing lately is a very big deep dive into the Murdochs and who they are, what their family is about, all of the stuff that has happened leading up to the Murdoch murder trials. In doing all of that research, in trying to make sure that everything is as factual as I can be, I've come to realize that it takes a lot out of me. But I've come to realize that going into these topics, doing what I can to bring light to these topics is very mentally draining.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot be as drained as I get with like the Murdoch stuff if I'm going to be the best parent I can be.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I'm going to be the best friend that I can be. Because I have a lot of people that reach out to me and are like, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. Are you okay? And I'm just like, no. So I've been pre-recording some Murdoch trial stuff so that I can put it out there, but still be able to focus on myself. So I can have that mental break. Working full time, taking care of him, trying to do as much fact-based streams as I can. It takes it out of you.